The great chamber of the HFY Council buzzed with worried voices. 12 different alien species sat around a massive circular table. Each species looked different from the others. Some had scales, others had fur. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4. But today, they all shared the same expression of fear. Admiral Zixathara stood at the center of the room. Her blue skin was darker than usual, a sign of stress among her people. She looked at the holographic display floating above the table. It showed thousands of red dots moving through space. "The Vorthan Empire has begun their attack," she said. Her voice echoed in the chamber. "Our scouts report 10,000 warships heading toward the human colonies." A creature with 6 eyes and tentacles for arms spoke up. 10,000 ships? That is more than we have ever seen them use before." Another alien, one that looked like a walking tree, made a sound like wind through leaves. "The humans have no chance. They barely learned to travel between stars 50 years ago." Zixathara nodded slowly. She had studied the humans since first contact. They were young as a spacefaring species. Their ships were simple. Their weapons were basic. Against the Vorthan Empire, they would be like insects against a storm. "Should we warn them?" asked Commander Velhan, Zixathara's second-in-command. He had gray fur and large ears that twitched when he was nervous. "It seems wrong to let them die without knowing what comes for them." The council fell silent. The Vorthan Empire was dangerous to everyone. They took worlds by force. They enslaved entire species. The HFY had fought them before and barely survived. But the humans would be wiped out completely. "We could offer them refuge," suggested the tree-like being. "Bring their people here before the attack comes." 30 billion humans live on those colonies. Zixathara replied. "We do not have ships to carry them all, and the Vorthans would reach them before we could save even half." A creature with crystal-like skin that rang like bells when it moved spoke next. "Perhaps we should contact the humans. Tell them what comes. Let them decide what to do." The debate went on for hours. Some wanted to help. Others said it was too dangerous. A few thought they should just watch and learn from what happened. In the end, they agreed to send a warning message to Earth. 3 days later, the response came back. Zixathara read it aloud to the council. "Message received and understood. Thank you for the warning about the Vorthan fleet. We appreciate your concern for our colonies. We are sending assistance to the threatened worlds." Signed, Admiral Sarah Chen, Earth Defense Command. The chamber erupted in confused voices. "Assistance?" Velhan's ears twitched rapidly. What kind of assistance could they possibly send? Zixathara ordered their best sensors to watch Earth's solar system. They waited for signs of a massive fleet leaving Earth. They expected to see hundreds of ships, maybe thousands, if the humans were desperate enough to send everything they had. Instead, their sensors detected something that made no sense. "Admiral," the sensor officer called out, "I am reading one ship, just one ship leaving Earth's system." "One ship?" Zixathara moved to the sensor station. "Check your readings again." The officer, a being with 4 arms and skin that changed colors with his emotions, ran the scan 3 more times. His skin turned yellow with confusion. "One ship confirmed, Admiral. It appears to be a cruiser-class vessel. Nothing special about its design. Standard human technology." Velhan looked at the data. Maybe it is a scout ship. Perhaps they are sending it ahead to gather information for their main fleet. Zixathara studied the readings. The ship was traveling at normal human speeds. It would reach the threatened colonies in about 2 weeks. The Vorthan fleet would arrive just 3 days later. "Or maybe," said the crystal being, its voice ringing with sad notes, "this is all they have. One ship to face 10,000. The thought made everyone in the chamber feel heavy with sorrow. The humans were still new to space. They had fought wars on their own world for thousands of years, but space combat was different. Against the Vorthans, one human ship would last maybe 10 seconds. "We should prepare to observe," Zixathara decided. "Send our fastest ships to the system. We will watch from a safe distance. Perhaps we can learn something about Vorthan tactics that will help us in future battles." "You mean we will watch the humans die?" Velhan said quietly. "Yes," Zixathara replied. "We will watch them die, and we will remember them." The HFY fleet left their home system the next day. 50 ships traveled toward the human colonies. They would arrive before the battle began. They would record everything. Maybe Zixathara thought Someone would remember the humans as brave, even if they were foolish. As their ships jumped through hyperspace, Zixathara wondered about the human Admiral Chen. Did she know she was sending one ship to fight 10,000? Did she understand that it meant certain death for everyone on board? Or did the humans have some secret weapon they had never shown to the galaxy? The Admiral looked at her reflection in the dark viewport. Her blue skin looked pale in the starlight. She had seen many species die over the years. War was common in the galaxy, but something about this felt different. The humans had seemed so confident in their message, so calm. Prepare for the worst, she told herself. Hope for a miracle. In 3 weeks, she would understand that sometimes the worst and the miracle could be the same thing. But for now, she just watched the stars and wondered why one ship was flying toward certain doom with such confidence. The Kethvar fleet waited in the darkness beyond the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Zixathara stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the empty space where the human ship would appear. Her crew moved quietly around her, checking sensors and preparing recording equipment. "Admiral," called the sensor officer, "something is coming out of hyperspace." On the main display, a single point of light appeared. It grew larger as it came closer to their position. The human ship looked exactly like their sensors had said it would. It was about the size of a Kethvar cruiser, with a simple design and basic hull plating. Nothing about it looked special or dangerous. "That is it?" Velhan asked. "That small ship is all they sent?" Zixathara studied the vessel through her scope. She could see weapon ports along its sides, but they were standard energy cannons. The shield generator looked normal. The engines were typical human design. She had seen bigger ships used to carry supplies between peaceful worlds. "Open a communication channel," she ordered. The human ship's captain appeared on the screen. She was a woman with dark hair, pulled back tight. Her uniform was clean and simple. She had calm brown eyes and a small scar on her left cheek. When she spoke, her voice was steady and clear. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Indomitable. I assume you are the Kethvar observers?" "Yes," Zixathara replied. "I am Admiral Zixathara. We sent the warning to your people about the Vorthan fleet." "Thank you for that. We appreciate the heads up." Captain Chen smiled. "We would like to request permission to dock with your flagship. I think a face-to-face meeting would be useful." Zixathara was surprised. Most species preferred to talk through video calls when they first met. Direct contact was usually saved for important treaties or emergencies, but something in the human's voice made her curious. "Permission granted, Captain Chen." 2 hours later, Captain Chen sat in Zixathara's private office. The human looked small compared to the Admiral's large blue frame, but she did not seem nervous or afraid. She sipped the tea that Zixathara had offered and looked around the room with interest. "Your ship is impressive," Chen said. "Much more advanced than our technology." "Captain Chen," Zixathara began carefully, "I must ask about your mission here. Our sensors show the Vorthan fleet will arrive in 3 days. They have 10,000 warships. You have 1. Chen nodded. "That sounds about right." "Do you understand what that means?" Velhan asked. He had joined the meeting and now sat across from the human. 10,000 ships against 1. Your vessel will be destroyed in seconds." "Maybe," Chen replied. She took another sip of tea. "But probably not." Zixathara leaned forward. "Captain, I have studied human history. I know your people are brave fighters. But bravery alone cannot win against such numbers. Where is your fleet? Where are your reinforcements?" Chen set down her cup and looked directly at the Admiral. "We are the reinforcement." "We?" Velhan's ears twitched rapidly. "I see only 1 ship and 1 captain." "That is correct." Chen's voice remained calm. 1 ship, 1 crew. That is all we need." The silence in the room stretched on. Zixathara tried to understand what the human meant. Perhaps their ship had some kind of super weapon. Maybe they planned to sacrifice themselves to take out the Vorthan command ship. Or could it be that humans simply did not understand the reality of space combat? "Captain," Zixathara said slowly, "I have fought the Vorthans before. They are ruthless and efficient. Their ships are powerful. Their tactics are proven. What makes you think 1 human vessel can stand against their entire fleet?" Chen smiled again. It was not the smile of someone who was afraid or desperate. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. "Admiral, how long have the Kethvar been traveling between the stars?" "Nearly 3,000 years," Zixathara replied. And in all that time, have you ever seen a species develop faster than light travel in less than a century? No. Most species take 500 to 1,000 years to master interstellar flight. Humans went from first flight to faster than light travel in 166 years, Chen said. We went from splitting the atom to antimatter reactors in 87 years, from basic computers to artificial intelligence in 60 years. Velhan shifted uncomfortably. What is your point, Captain? My point is that humans solve problems differently than other species. When we face a challenge, we do not just try to overcome it with force or numbers. We change the rules of the game. Zixthara felt a chill run down her spine. There was something in the human's voice that she had not heard before. It was not fear or bravery. It was confidence based on knowledge. What rules are you changing, Captain Chen? You will see. Chen stood up from her chair. The Vorthons expect to fight a traditional battle, ship against ship, fleet against fleet. They have done this for centuries. It has always worked for them. And what will you do instead? The Admiral asked. Chen walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Something they have never seen before. Something no one in the galaxy has ever seen before. She turned back to face them. Admiral, when the battle begins, I suggest you keep your ships at a safe distance. What we are about to do might be surprising. Surprising how? You sent us a warning about 10,000 Vorthon ships, Chen said. We appreciate that warning. In return, let me give you one. When this is over, the balance of power in this galaxy is going to change. The Vorthons have been bullying smaller species for too long. That ends now. Chen headed toward the door. Thank you for the tea, Admiral. It was excellent. After the human left, Zixthara and Velhan sat in silence for a long time. Do you think she is insane? Velhan finally asked. Zixthara watched through the window as the human ship moved away from their flagship. It still looked like an ordinary cruiser. Nothing special, nothing threatening. I do not know, she admitted, but I have never seen such confidence before. Either she is completely mad, or the humans know something we do not. Which do you think it is? Zixthara thought about the human's smile, about the way she had spoken of changing the rules, about how quickly humans had developed their technology. I think, the Admiral said quietly, we are about to find out. The space around Kepler 442 had been peaceful for 3 days. The human ship Indomitable floated quietly near the inner planets where 30 billion colonists lived their daily lives. Most of them had no idea what was coming. The Keithvar fleet watched from the outer system, their sensors focused on the empty darkness beyond. Then the stars began to bend. Admiral, the sensor officer called out. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Very large. Very many. Zixthara moved quickly to the sensor station. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen. Hundreds of tears in space appeared at once, each one glowing with the energy of ships dropping out of hyperspace. The first ships to appear were Vorthon destroyers. Each one was twice the size of a human cruiser. Their black hulls gleamed with weapon ports and armor plating. Behind them came cruisers, then battleships, then carriers that launched clouds of fighter craft. But these were just the beginning. Larger ships continued to appear, command vessels that dwarfed everything around them. Siege platforms with guns bigger than most ships. Mobile space stations armed with enough weapons to destroy entire fleets. Count, Zixthara asked, though her voice barely worked. Still counting, Admiral. I show 8,000, 9,000. Still coming through. The sensor officer's skin was cycling through every color of fear. Admiral, I count 10,012 ships, the largest fleet ever recorded. At the center of the massive formation was a ship that made all the others look small. The Eternal Conquest was the flagship of the Vorthon Empire. It was 5 miles long and 2 miles wide. Its hull was covered in so many weapons that they overlapped like scales on a fish. Energy crackled between its shield generators, creating an aurora of deadly light. Velhan stared at the display with his mouth open. How can anyone fight that? How can anyone fight all of that? The Vorthon fleet moved into perfect formation. Each ship knew exactly where to go. Within an hour, they had created a wall of death that stretched across the system. Their formation was beautiful and terrible, like a storm made of metal and fire. A communication came through on all frequencies. The face that appeared on the screen was nightmare made real. War Commander Tulvex had skin like burned metal and eyes like red coals. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding stone. I am War Commander Tulvex of the Eternal Conquest. This system is now claimed by the Vorthon Empire. All ships will surrender immediately. All planets will prepare for occupation. Any resistance will result in total destruction. The message repeated in a dozen languages. Zixthara noticed that one of those languages was human English. They came prepared, she whispered. On her display, she could see the human ship Indomitable. It was moving away from the planets and toward the Vorthon fleet. The tiny vessel looked like an insect flying toward a forest fire. What is Captain Chen doing? Velhan asked. She is positioning herself between the Vorthons and the colonies, Zixthara replied. She is going to fight. The Kethvar admiral opened a channel to the human ship. Captain Chen, this is Admiral Zixthara. You cannot possibly engage that fleet. You must retreat while you still can. Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm, almost relaxed. Thank you for the concern, Admiral, but retreat is not necessary. Captain, I am reading 10,000 ships on my sensors. Your one vessel cannot. Admiral, Chen interrupted gently. I told you before that we changed the rules. Watch and learn. In the distance, the Vorthon fleet began to move forward. The smaller ships spread out to surround the system while the larger vessels advanced in attack formation. It was like watching a metal tide roll across space. The Eternal Conquest sent another message. Unknown vessel, you will surrender or be destroyed. This is your only warning. Captain Chen responded on an open channel that every ship in the system could hear. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth defense ship Indomitable. You are threatening human colonies. Leave immediately or face the consequences. The silence that followed was broken by what sounded like laughter from the Vorthon command ship. You dare threaten us, little human? Your pathetic ship against the might of the Empire. This will be amusing. Zixthara watched as the Vorthon formation shifted. 100 destroyers broke away from the main fleet and moved toward the Indomitable. Even this small force was more than enough to destroy the human ship a dozen times over. Admiral, Velhan said quietly, we should record everything. Someone should remember how bravely they died. But as Zixthara watched, something strange happened. The human ship began to change. At first, she thought it was her sensors malfunctioning. The readings made no sense. The ship appeared to be getting larger. Sensor officer, check your equipment. Equipment is functioning normally, Admiral, but I am getting impossible readings from the human vessel. It appears to be growing. On the visual display, they could see sections of the Indomitable's hull moving outward. Parts that had looked like simple armor plating were unfolding like flower petals. What had seemed like a single ship was revealing itself to be something much more complex. What is happening? Velhan whispered. More sections extended from the ship's core. Framework beams telescoped outward. Hull plates shifted and rotated. The simple human cruiser was transforming into something else entirely, something that had been hidden inside its basic appearance. The Vorthon destroyers slowed their approach, clearly as confused as the Kethvar observers. Captain Chen's voice came over the communication channel again. Admiral Zixthara, you asked me what rules we were changing. Here is your answer. The transformation was almost complete now. Where one human ship had been, there was now a massive structure stretching for miles in every direction. But it was not a ship anymore. It was something the galaxy had never seen before. What is that thing? The Vorthon War Commander demanded. Captain Chen smiled on the screen. War Commander Tulvex, meet the UES Indomitable. Not a ship. A mobile construction facility, a factory that builds fleets. The structure began to glow with internal energy. Massive arms extended from its core, each one tipped with complex machinery. Raw materials began flowing through tubes and channels like blood through veins. You see, Chen continued, other species build ships in shipyards and then send them to fight. That takes time and limits how many you can deploy. Humans had a different idea. We decided to bring the shipyard to the fight. The first new ship began to take shape at one of the construction arms, then another at a different arm, then more. The facility was building vessels faster than anyone had thought possible. Impossible, Thulvex snarled. No one can build ships that quickly. You are right, Chen replied. No one can, but we are not building them the way you think. Every ship that comes out of this facility is pre-designed, pre-programmed, and ready for immediate combat. We are not assembling them piece by piece. We are manufacturing them as complete units. The Kethvar crew watched in stunned silence as human warships began emerging from the construction facility like bullets from a gun. Each one was sleek, fast, and armed with weapons they had never seen before. Admiral, Velhan whispered, "How many ships can that thing build?" As if she had heard him, Captain Chen answered, "War Commander, you brought 10,000 ships to this fight. That was a mistake. You should have brought more." The construction facility that had once been the Indomitable was now fully deployed. It stretched across space like a metal city, its dozens of construction arms working at incredible speed. Each arm built a different type of ship, and they never stopped. Admiral Zixathera watched the construction process with growing amazement. How is this possible? Where are the raw materials coming from? Her science officer, a creature with crystalline skin, studied the readings. "Admiral, the facility appears to be using some form of matter conversion technology. It is taking asteroids, space dust, even stray hydrogen atoms, and converting them directly into ship components. That would require more energy than most stars produce," Velhan said. "Look at the reactor readings," the science officer replied. "They are using controlled antimatter reactions, but the efficiency is beyond anything we have seen. They are getting more energy from less fuel than should be physically possible." Captain Chen's voice came over the communication channel. "Admiral Zixathera, I thought you might be curious about our technology. The facility you are watching represents 200 years of human engineering. We call it Modular Rapid Deployment Construction." "How does it work?" Zixathera asked, unable to hide her fascination. "Simple concept, complex execution," Chen replied. "Instead of building ships from individual parts, we build them from whole sections that snap together like blocks. Each section is complete with weapons, life support, engines, everything needed. The construction arms just put the sections together in different combinations." New ships continued to emerge from the facility. Zixathera tried to count them, but they were being built too fast. Fighters, frigates, destroyers, cruisers, even battleships larger than the Kethvar flagship. "The materials," Chen continued, "come from anywhere we can find them. The facility's conversion systems can turn any matter into any other matter we need. A chunk of ice becomes hull plating. A metal asteroid becomes weapons systems. Empty space provides hydrogen for fusion fuel." War Commander Thulvex had been silent during this explanation. Now his voice exploded over the communications. "This changes nothing. We still outnumber you. Attack formations, advance, and destroy them before they can build more." The Vorthon fleet began to move forward, 10,000 ships accelerating toward the construction facility and the growing human fleet around it. But Captain Chen did not seem worried. "War Commander, you are making the same mistake everyone makes when they fight humans for the first time. You are thinking like this is a normal battle." "What do you mean?" Thulvex demanded. "You are thinking that we will fight ship against ship until one side is destroyed. But humans do not fight fair. We fight smart." As the Vorthan fleet approached, the newly built human ships did something unexpected. Instead of forming battle lines, they began to spread out in a complex pattern. Each ship took a position that seemed random, but Zixathera's sensors detected they were connected by tight communication beams. "They are networking," her communications officer reported. "Every human ship is linked to every other human ship. They are sharing data in real time." Chen's voice explained what they were seeing. "Every ship in our fleet is controlled by an artificial intelligence, but these are not separate minds. They are all parts of one larger intelligence that spans the entire fleet. When one ship learns something, they all learn it instantly." The first Vorthon ships opened fire. Energy beams and missile barrages streaked across space toward the human vessels. But something impossible happened. The human ships moved before the weapons reached them. "How did they dodge?" Velhan asked. "The reaction time should be impossible." "They did not dodge," the science officer said, checking her readings. "They moved before the Vorthans fired. They predicted the attacks." More human ships were emerging from the construction facility every minute, but these were different from the first ones. They were larger, more heavily armed, and designed specifically to fight Vorthon vessels. "Adaptive construction," Chen said, as if reading their thoughts. "As our ships gather data about Vorthon weapons and tactics, the facility builds new ships designed to counter them. Every minute of this battle makes our fleet more effective. The Vorthon destroyers that had first approached were now under attack from human ships built specifically to fight destroyers. The human vessels were faster, more maneuverable, and their weapons seemed designed to cut through Vorthon armor like it was paper. "Impossible," Thulvex roared. "How can you know our weaknesses so quickly?" "Because we study our enemies," Chen replied. "For 50 years, humans have been watching Vorthon ships, recording their battles, analyzing their technology. We know how your shields work, how your weapons fire, how your ships move. We have been preparing for this fight since the day we learned you existed." The battle was not going as the Vorthons had expected. Their superior numbers meant nothing when the human ships could predict their moves and counter their tactics before they even used them. Worse, the human fleet was growing larger every moment. Zixthara watched her displays in amazement. "How many ships has the facility built now?" "I count 8,000 human vessels," her sensor officer reported, "and the construction rate is increasing." 8,000 in 4 hours. Velhan's ears were twitching so fast, they were just a blur. How long could they maintain this rate? Captain Chen answered as if she had heard the question. "The facility can maintain maximum construction rate for approximately 72 hours using local materials. After that, we would need to move to a new location or slow down production." 72 hours at this rate would produce, the science officer calculated rapidly, over 40,000 ships. The Vorthon fleet was now taking serious casualties. Their traditional tactics were useless against an enemy that could predict their moves and adapt to their strategies in real time. Ships that had seemed invincible were being destroyed by human vessels a quarter their size. "This is not possible," Thulvex screamed. "No species can build ships this fast. No species can fight like this." "You are right," Chen said, calmly. "No species has ever done this before, but humans are not like other species. We do not accept the way things have always been done. We find better ways." A new type of human ship emerged from the construction facility. This one was enormous, larger even than the Vorthon flagship, but instead of weapons, it carried more construction equipment. "What is that?" Zixthara asked. "Mobile expansion unit," Chen replied. "It will establish a second construction facility, then a third. Within 12 hours, we will have 5 facilities operating simultaneously." The reality of what this meant hit Zixthara like a physical blow. One facility could build 40,000 ships in 3 days. 5 facilities could build 200,000 ships in the same time. The humans had not just brought a ship to this battle. They had brought the ability to create an infinite fleet, limited only by the raw materials in the system. And since they could convert any matter into any other matter, the raw materials were essentially unlimited. War Commander Thulvex seemed to realize the same thing. His voice, when it came over the communications, was no longer angry. It was afraid. What are you?" Captain Chen's answer was simple and terrible. "We are humans, and we have come to end your empire." 6 hours had passed since the battle began. The space around Kepler 442 now looked completely different. Where once there had been empty darkness, there was now a cloud of human ships stretching for millions of miles. The construction facility had built over 15,000 vessels, and it showed no signs of slowing down. The Vorthon fleet was in chaos. Their perfect formations had broken apart. Ships fled in all directions while human vessels pursued them with relentless efficiency. The artificial intelligence controlling the human fleet learned from every exchange, becoming deadlier with each passing minute. Admiral Zixthara watched the battle display with growing amazement. Red dots representing Vorthon ships were disappearing faster than her sensors could track. Blue dots representing human ships multiplied like stars being born. "Admiral," her sensor officer reported, "I am detecting retreat signals from multiple Vorthon ships. Their formation is collapsing." On the communication channel, War Commander Thulvex's voice had lost all its arrogance. "Human vessel, I request. I demand to speak with your commander." Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked exactly as calm as she had hours ago, as if commanding a battle against 10,000 enemy ships was just another day at work. "I am listening, War Commander." Your ships. How are they doing this? My destroyers cannot hit them. My battleships cannot damage them. It is like fighting ghosts." Not ghosts, Chen replied. Just better technology and better tactics. Your ships are designed to fight enemies that think like you do. We think differently. The human ships had indeed been fighting like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of engaging in direct combat, they used swarm tactics. Dozens of small, fast ships would attack a single large Vorthon vessel from all directions at once. When the enemy tried to target one ship, the others would strike from different angles. More importantly, every human ship was learning from the attacks. When a Vorthan weapon managed to hit one human vessel, all the other ships immediately developed countermeasures. The enemy could never use the same tactic twice. This is impossible, Tulvex continued. No species can adapt this quickly to combat. Most species cannot, Chen agreed. But we are not most species. War Commander, I want you to understand something. This fleet you brought here, 10,000 ships that took your empire decades to build. We replaced it in 6 hours. In 12 hours, we will have built twice as many ships as you brought. In 24 hours, we will have 4 times as many. Thulvex's scaled face showed an expression that might have been despair. What do you want from us? Nothing complicated. Leave this system. Leave all human colonies. Never attack another peaceful species again. Your days of conquest are over. The Empire will not accept this. Other fleets will come. Larger fleets. Chen's smile was not pleasant. War Commander, let me explain something about human strategic thinking. This facility you see building ships, it is not unique. Every human colony has 3 of them. Earth has 50. The communication channel fell silent except for the sound of Thulvex's heavy breathing. You are lying. The human colonies at Tau Ceti, Wolf 359, and Proxima Centauri are each building facilities identical to this one right now. When your empire inevitably tries to attack us again, you will face not 15,000 ships, but hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. Zixthara felt the blood drain from her face. If what Captain Chen was saying was true, then humans had just revealed military capabilities that dwarfed every other species combined. Admiral Zixthara, Chen's voice called out, would you like to inspect some of our new ships? I think you will find them interesting. 20 minutes later, Zixthara and Velhan were aboard a human destroyer that had been built during the battle. The ship was unlike anything in their experience. Every surface was covered with displays showing data about the battle. The crew was small, only 12 humans, but they seemed to control the entire vessel through thought alone. How is this possible? Zixthara asked the ship's captain, a young human woman named Rodriguez. Neural interface technology, Rodriguez explained. We do not push buttons or type commands. We think what we want the ship to do, and it does it. The reaction time is nearly instantaneous. They were shown weapons that could adjust their power and frequency to counter any type of armor or shield. Engines that could accelerate faster than anything the Keithvar had ever built. Sensors that could track 1,000 targets simultaneously while predicting their movements. This destroyer, Velhan said quietly, could defeat our entire fleet by itself. Probably, Rodriguez agreed, but it would not be necessary. Our ships work together. One destroyer might engage your fleet while 50 others attack from different directions. Your ships would be overwhelmed in minutes. When they returned to the Kethvar flagship, the battle was essentially over. Half the Vorthon fleet had been destroyed. The other half was retreating as fast as their engines could carry them. The mighty Eternal Conquest was limping away, with its hull cracked and its weapons silent. War Commander Thulvex sent one final transmission. This is not over, human. The Empire has fleets you have never seen, weapons beyond your imagination. War Commander, Chen replied. The Empire had the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. We destroyed it in 6 hours. Your other fleets will not fare better. But if you insist on testing that theory, you will find human construction facilities waiting for them. The Vorthan ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind only debris and the memory of their defeat. As the immediate threat ended, the human fleet began a process that surprised everyone watching. The ships started to dismantle themselves. One by one, they flew back to the construction facility and were broken down into raw materials. What are they doing? Velhan asked. Recycling, Chen explained. These ships were built for one battle. Now that the battle is over, we return their materials to the facility. When we need ships again, we will build new ones designed for whatever threat we face. Within 12 hours, the massive human fleet had been reduced to raw materials. The construction facility itself began to fold back into its original form. Soon, only the Indomitable remained, looking once again like a simple cruiser. Admiral Zixathera opened a channel to the human ship. "Captain Chen, I must ask, how many facilities like this do humans really have?" "Right now, 15 operational with 12 more under construction. But Admiral, those numbers change every month. We are always building more." "And your government, do they approve of what you have done here?" Chen laughed. "Admiral, my government does not just approve. They designed this strategy. Humans learned long ago that the best defense is the ability to rapidly deploy overwhelming force anywhere it is needed. What happens now? Now the galaxy changes. The Vorthon Empire will think twice before attacking anyone again. Other aggressive species will reconsider their plans. And peaceful species like yours will have time to develop without fear." Zixathera nodded slowly. "And what do humans want in return for this protection?" "Nothing," Chen replied. "We do not seek to rule other species. We just want to live in peace. But we have learned that peace must sometimes be defended with strength." The Indomitable prepared to depart the system. Before it left, Chen sent one final message to the Kethvar fleet. "Admiral, when you report this battle to your council, please tell them something. Tell them that humans are not interested in conquest or empire. We have everything we need in our own systems, but we will not tolerate bullies who threaten peaceful species. Anyone who tries to repeat what the Vorthans attempted today will face the same response." "I will deliver your message, Captain Chen." "Thank you. And Admiral, if the Kethvar ever need assistance against aggressive neighbors, you have only to ask. Humans do not abandon our friends." After the human ship disappeared into hyperspace, Zixathara sat alone in her quarters, writing her report to the council. How could she explain what she had witnessed? How could she describe the moment when one ship had become 15,000? How could she convey the casual way the humans had dismantled the most powerful fleet in the galaxy? In the end, she wrote simply, "The humans are not what we thought they were. They are far more dangerous and far more valuable as allies. I recommend we establish formal diplomatic relations immediately. We do not want to be their enemies." 3 weeks later, the Kethvar Council voted unanimously to offer humans a formal alliance. They were not the only ones. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear of the Vorthon Empire began reaching out to Earth. The age of conquest was ending. The age of cooperation had begun. And in Earth's shipyards, construction continued around the clock, building not just ships, but a future where bullies would find themselves outnumbered, outgunned, and obsolete.